So to recap, data helps us understand our customers better, improve our campaigns, and create that more personalized experience. But where does all this data actually come from? It's not like it magically appears, right?
Well, there are two main categories: internal data and external data.
Okay, let's start with internal. What's that all about?
So internal data is all the information a company collects
Yeah.
about its own customers and operations.
Okay.
Think about your customer relationship management system, your CRM. It's a goldmine of information about what customers have bought, how they prefer to be contacted, and much more.
It's like having a giant Rolodex,
No.
but digital
Yeah.
and way more powerful.
Way more powerful. And then there's data from your email marketing platforms, website analytics, even your sales records.
Oh, wow.
It's all about understanding what's happening within your own ecosystem.
So you can see who's opening your emails, clicking on your ads, spending money on your products, that kind of thing.
Precisely. But internal data is only part of the picture. You also need to look outside your own walls. That's where external data comes in.
Okay, what's the scoop on external data?
So external data is information that comes from sources outside your company.
Okay.
Think about things like market research reports, industry publications, social media trends, even publicly available data sets.
So it's like getting a bird's eye view of the market
Yeah.
and understanding those bigger trends that are shaping customer behavior.
You got it. And with the rise of social media, we now have access to so much information about what people are talking about, what they're interested in, how they feel about certain brands.
It's like having a direct line into the minds of your customers. But with all this data coming from so many different places, how do you even begin to make sense of it all?
That's where marketing metrics come in. These are the key measurements that help us understand, what the data is telling us and how we can use it to make smart decisions.
Okay, so we've got our data sources. We're starting to gather insights. This is where it gets really interesting, right?
Absolutely. Understanding these metrics is like having the keys to the kingdom. Without them, we're just swimming in a sea of numbers with no direction.
All right, let's unlock that treasure chest of marketing metrics. Where do we even begin?
Well, one of the most fundamental metrics is customer lifetime value, or CLV for short. Yeah, it tells you how much revenue you can expect to earn from a single customer over their entire relationship with your brand.
So it's not just about a one-time purchase, it's about the long game.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Imagine you run a local coffee shop. Your CLV is the total amount a loyal customer spends on their daily lattes over the years,
Yeah.
minus the cost of acquiring and serving them.
That makes sense. So a high CLV means you've got a customer worth investing in.
Exactly. But acquiring customers can be expensive. That's where customer acquisition cost, or CAC, comes in.
CAC.
Yeah, it tells you how much you're spending to bring in each new customer.
Okay, so if it costs me $50 in advertising to get a new coffee shop customer, but their CLV over time is only $25, that's not a sustainable model.
No, not at all. Ideally, you want your CLV to be significantly higher than your CAC. That indicates that you're actually making a profit from your marketing efforts.
Makes sense. Now, we've been talking a lot about understanding customers, but what about understanding how our marketing messages are actually performing? There were a bunch of metrics about that in these sources.
Of course, one of the most familiar is click-through rate, or CTR. It measures the percentage of people who see your ad or link and actually click on it.
So a high CTR means your message is grabbing attention, and people are curious enough to learn more.
Exactly. A compelling headline, a striking visual, or a targeted message can all contribute to a higher CTR.
And then hopefully those clicks lead to conversions, right?
Right. The conversion rate measures how many visitors to your website actually take a desired action, like making a purchase or signing up for a newsletter.
Okay, so we've got customers coming in, clicking on our ads, and hopefully converting. But at the end of the day, it's all about the bottom line, right? What about return on investment?
Ah, yes. ROI. It's the ultimate measure of whether your marketing campaigns are actually generating profit. It's calculated by dividing the profit from a campaign by the cost of that campaign.
So if I spend $1,000 on a Facebook ad campaign and it generates $5,000 in sales, that's a pretty healthy ROI.
Indeed, a strong ROI means you're getting a good return on your marketing investment, which makes everyone happy.
All right, so we've got CLV, CAC, CTR. Conversion rate, ROI, these are some of the heavy hitters. In the world of marketing metrics, anything else we should keep in mind?
Well, there are many other metrics that can provide valuable insights. For example, bounce rate tells you how many people leave your website after only viewing one page. A high bounce rate might indicate that your website is confusing, or slow to load, or simply not relevant to what people are looking for.
Ouch.
It can be, but it's also an opportunity to improve. And then there's engagement rate, which measures how people are interacting with your content on social media. Are they liking, sharing, commenting, or just scrolling on by?
So it's not just about getting eyeballs on your content, it's about getting people to actually engage with it.
Exactly. A high engagement rate suggests your content is resonating with your audience, which can boost your brand visibility and ultimately lead to more conversions.
Okay, my head is spinning with all these metrics, but it's clear that understanding these numbers is crucial for making informed marketing decisions. But even with all this data at our fingertips, there are still some challenges, right? I mean, the future is never completely predictable.
You're right, forecasting is never a perfect science, but it's a vital part of marketing planning. And there's some powerful techniques we can use to make those predictions more accurate.
Okay, let's talk forecasting. What are some of the methods marketers use to, peek into the future?
Well, one common technique is called time series analysis. It involves looking at historical data collected over time. Think sales figures, website traffic, or social media engagement to identify trends and patterns.
So, tracking how many lattes you sell each month to see if there are any, seasonal spikes or dips.
Exactly. Time series analysis helps us spot those recurring patterns and use that information to forecast future demand. For example, if you notice a consistent increase in sales during the summer months, you can anticipate that trend continuing and plan your inventory and marketing campaigns accordingly.
That's so smart. It's like using the past to inform the future. But what about forecasting demand for, a specific product, like a new type of latte?
That's called demand forecasting. And it's a bit more complex. It takes into account various factors, like historical sales data for similar products, market trends, pricing strategies, and even competitor activity.
So it's like a multi-layered puzzle. But when you put all the pieces together, you can get a pretty good sense of how much demand there might be for that new pumpkin spice cold brew.
Exactly. And there are various statistical models and algorithms that can help us make those predictions more precise.
This all sounds incredibly powerful, but I imagine there are some limitations to forecasting, right? No crystal ball is perfect.
You're absolutely right. One of the biggest challenges is data limitations. If you don't have enough historical data, or if the data you have is inaccurate or incomplete, your forecasts are going to be less reliable.
Makes sense. You can't build a strong foundation on shaky ground. What else can, throw a wrench in our forecasting efforts?
Well, the market is constantly changing. Consumer preferences can shift, new competitors can emerge, and unforeseen events, a global pandemic, can disrupt even the most carefully crafted predictions.
Right. Who could have predicted that everyone would suddenly be baking sourdough bread and yearning for virtual yoga classes?
Exactly. And then there's the fact that models themselves have limitations. Some models are better suited to certain types of data or forecasting problems than others.
So you need to choose the right tool for the job and be aware of its limitations. But even with these challenges, it seems like forecasting plays a crucial role in marketing decision-making.
Absolutely. From inventory management to campaign planning to product development, forecasting helps us make more informed decisions and minimize risks.
Speaking of minimizing risks, I know you're a big proponent of A/B testing.
I am. A/B testing is one of the most powerful tools we have for optimizing our marketing campaigns.
Okay, for those who aren't familiar, break down what A/B testing is all about.
So it's essentially an experiment where you compare two different versions of something, like an email subject line, a landing page headline, even a button color, to see which one performs better.
So it's like a head-to-head battle of the marketing variations.
Exactly. You show one version to one group of people and the other version to another group, and then track the results to see which one wins.
And the winner gets to stay.
Precisely. A/B testing takes the guesswork out of optimization and helps us make data-driven decisions about what works best.
I love that. But what if you have more than two variations you want to test? What if you want to experiment with different headlines and images?
Big enough.
Calls to action all at once.
That's where multivariate testing comes in. It allows you to test multiple variables simultaneously to find the winning combination.
Okay, that sounds a little more complicated.
It can be. And you need a lot of traffic to your website to get statistically significant results. But the potential rewards are huge.
So with A/B testing and multivariate testing, we're talking about optimizing campaigns before or during their run. But what about after the campaign is over? How do we analyze the results and figure out what worked and what didn't?
That's where campaign analysis comes in. It's all about digging into the data to understand how our marketing efforts translated into actual results.
So did our social media ads drive traffic to our website? Did our email campaign lead to more sales?
Exactly. And one of the key concepts in campaign analysis is attribution.
Ah, yes, attribution. The art of giving credit where credit is due. But figuring out which touch points deserve credit for a conversion can be tricky, right?
It can be, especially with the customer journey becoming increasingly complex. People might see your ad on social media, then visit your website a few days later, and finally make a purchase after receiving an email offer.
So which touch point gets the credit?
That's like solving a marketing mystery.
You can feel that way.
That's why we have different attribution models. Some models give all the credit to the first touch point, some give it to the last, and others distribute the credit across multiple touch points.
So you need to choose the attribution model that makes the most sense for your business and your goals.
Exactly. And once you have a clear understanding of attribution, you can start to analyze other important metrics like website traffic, conversion rates, cost per acquisition, and of course ROI.
Right. It's all about connecting the dots between your marketing activities and the results you're seeing. But it's not enough to just analyze the results after the fact, right?
You're right. It's about making adjustments in real time to improve performance. That's where continuous optimization comes in.
Okay, so it's not about setting a campaign and forgetting about it. It's about constantly monitoring and tweaking.
Exactly. Continuous optimization is all about making those real-time adjustments based on the data you're collecting.
So it's like having your finger on the pulse of your campaigns,
Exactly.
constantly checking for vital signs.
And one of the key frameworks for continuous optimization is the iterative learning loop.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing. Break it down for me.
It's a cyclical process where you collect data on your campaign's performance, analyze that data to identify areas for improvement, experiment with different changes, implement the changes that work, and then reassess your results to see if you need to make further adjustments.
So it's like a never-ending cycle of testing, learning, and refining.
Exactly. And the beauty of this approach is that it's data-driven. You're not just making random changes. You're basing your decisions on what the data is telling you.
I love that. So continuous optimization is all about using data to make our campaigns smarter and more effective. But as we wrap up part 2 of this deep dive, there's one crucial piece of the puzzle we need to address.
And that is building a data-informed marketing culture.
Exactly. We've touched on this a little bit throughout our deep dive, but it's so important. I think it needs its own spotlight.
I agree. We've covered all these powerful tools and techniques, but without the right culture, they're not going to reach their full potential.
Because it's one thing to have access to data, right? It's another thing to actually use it effectively. And I feel like that involves a real shift in mindset for everyone, for the entire organization.
Absolutely. It's a cultural shift. A truly data-informed culture goes beyond just being data-driven.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the difference?
Well, being data-driven can sometimes feel like you're letting the numbers just dictate every decision,
Yeah.
which can lead to a very cold and impersonal approach.
Like a robot's making all the marketing decisions?
Yeah, in a way. But a data-informed culture is about finding that sweet spot between data insights and human intuition.
So it's about using data to guide our decisions, but not letting it completely take over. We still need that human element, the creativity, the empathy, the understanding.
Precisely. You said it perfectly. It's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between data and human ingenuity. And that requires a collaborative approach where different teams can work together effectively.
Especially those data analysts and marketers, right? They always seem to be speaking different languages.
They do, but bridging that gap is essential for building a data-informed culture. We need to encourage those two groups to interact regularly, share their knowledge, and work together on projects from the very beginning.
So no more data silos, where analysts are crunching numbers in isolation and marketers are off creating campaigns in their own little world.
Exactly. We need cross-team collaboration where everyone understands the value of data and how it can inform every stage of the marketing process.
Which makes me think about the marketing funnel. Like, it all starts with awareness, right?
Yeah.
Getting people to know that our brand exists.
Right. And data can help us figure out, the most effective channels to reach our target audience.
Okay.
Are they spending their time on social media? Are they searching on Google, reading industry blogs? Data can answer those questions and guide our targeting efforts.
So instead of just blasting our message out to everyone, we can be way more strategic.
Much more strategic.
And reach the right people at the right time.
Exactly. And once we've, captured someone's attention, the next stage is consideration. They're starting to think about our brand. in comparing us to the competition.
So how does data help us during that, consideration phase?
Well, we can track how people are interacting with our website, our content, and our social media. Are they reading our blog posts, downloading white papers, watching product demos?
That tells us what they're interested in and what information they might need to make a decision.
Exactly. And then comes the moment of truth, the conversion phase. This is where someone actually takes a desired action, like making a purchase, signing up for a newsletter, or requesting a demo.
So what kind of data are we looking at during that conversion phase?
Well, we want to understand conversion rates, cart abandonment rates, and the customer journey leading up to that conversion. Are there any bottlenecks or friction points in the process that are preventing people from taking action?
Data can help us identify those.
Absolutely.
And make some changes.
Yeah.
To optimize our conversion rates.
Exactly. And once we've acquired a customer, the final stage is retention. This is all about keeping those customers happy and coming back for more.
Because it's cheaper to keep a customer than to acquire a new one.
Much cheaper. And data is absolutely crucial for developing those effective retention strategies.
Okay.
We need to understand our customers' lifetime value, purchase history, preferences, and their overall engagement with our brand.
So we can personalize our communication, maybe offer some relevant recommendations, or even just check in from time to time to show that we care.
You got it. The data-driven marketing cycle is a continuous loop that really touches every stage of the customer journey.
It's all about using data to create that more personalized, engaging, and ultimately successful marketing experience.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so before we wrap up this epic deep dive, we got to give our listeners some actionable advice. What are some concrete steps they can take to start building a data-informed marketing culture in their own organizations?
Well, it all starts with leadership. The executives need to be on board with this data-driven approach and really champion it throughout the company.
Okay.
They set the tone, they provide the resources, and they create a culture where data is valued and used to make informed decisions.
So it's not just a marketing department initiative. It needs to be embraced by the whole organization.
Exactly. And once you have that leadership buy-in, you need to invest in the right tools and infrastructure. This means having marketing analytics platforms, data visualization tools, customer relationship management systems, and other technologies that can help you collect, analyze, and interpret data.
And making sure those tools are integrated with each other. So you don't have data living in all these silos.
Right, absolutely. And finally, you need ongoing training and development to keep your team skills sharp.
Okay.
The world of data analysis is constantly evolving, so it's important to provide those opportunities for your team to learn new techniques and tools and best practices.
Yeah, it's an investment in your team and in the future of your marketing.
Absolutely.
Wow, this has been an incredible journey. Through the world of data analysis and marketing, we covered so much ground, from those fundamental concepts to the ethical considerations, to the practical steps involved in building that data-informed culture.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you.
Likewise. And to our listeners, we hope you found this deep dive insightful and empowering. Data can be such a powerful tool for marketers, but it's up to us to use it responsibly and ethically.
Remember, it's all about finding that balance between data and human ingenuity.
So as you continue on your own data-driven adventures, stay curious, stay ethical, and never stop learning.
And most importantly, have fun with it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of data analysis and marketing. Until next time, keep exploring, keep experimenting, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with data.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.